Right, so it's now time for this week's Outside. Now, this lady, she's a singer and songwriter. She became famous when she popped up on our screens on X Factor in 2010. Born in January 1986, so very young. 1986, I can kind of remember back in the day. She started her career in 2009 when appearing on online reality TV, a show called Green-Eyed World. Now, she travelled to America and Europe in pursuit of getting a record label deal and has toured with the likes of E17 and Andy Abraham. Didn't the leader of E17, didn't he run himself over in his car whilst he was, I don't know what happened to him. She even performed for socialite Paris Hilton with a fellow X Factor contestant. She's now turned her attention to law, but who is she? Well, she is one and only Katie Waissel. Katie, welcome. She joins me now in the studio.
Welcome
you.
Aboard.
Although you look totally different from when you did in X Factor.
Oh, my goodness, yeah, the hair, right?
You had blonde hair.
Yeah, big blonde hair. And lots that you mentioned in that the intro with the Green-Eyed World, which I took part in prior to the X Factor, and was such an incredible experience being part of the Green-Eyed World. It was the first time that YouTube and Facebook ever integrated like the cross-platform of sharing videos. And then the tour with E17 and Andy Abrahams all prior to the X Factor.
Yeah, bless him.
Yeah, a very prominent points there that take me back, feeling very nostalgic.
I wonder if you've got
days
any,
before.
I wonder if you've got any clips of anything from X Factor from that time. Should we, just in case, because you might be listening and watching thinking, we don't remember her. Well, I can show you a little bit of what Katie looked like before, so you can see. If you're listening on radio, you won't get the benefit of this, but you will get the benefit of Katie. But as you're on radio, she's got curly hair. She sort of looks kind of like Madonna back in the day when she was singing things like Borderline and Getting to the Groove, that kind of look. There's blonde hair, sort of Marilyn Monroe sort of styly, but out there. Yeah, that is
great for fashion shirt on.
You look, yeah, there's Cheryl Tweed. What was it like then, and what was your motivation then to do that? Obviously, world domination, getting yourself out there.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of people ask me that, and with, I guess, like the idea that people go on a show like that in order to put themselves out there. For me personally, looking back on it, it wasn't a show that I really had that initial first choice to go and take part on. Having all of that previous experience that you listed in the intro, one would then ask themselves, why would I go on a show like that? However, looking back at that audition you just played, it was incredibly daunting and overwhelming. There's so many people there in that audience, but a lot happens prior to that very moment of pre-audition rounds. And it's quite funny, actually, because when I was stopped, I wanted to sing the song At Last, and the comments were, we don't want to hear you sing that
I
one.
remember that, because that was the audition where you went along and you sang, I think it was a Freddie Mercury track, was it?
Yeah.
And then they said, then Simon went, no. Because it didn't sound like you really... I mean, I think we do have some audio that we could hear. I think we robbed this off your Instagram or something. Let's have a quick listen, because we want to give the benefit for those who are listening on radio. Have a listen. This is Katie.
Where do you think you're going? Where do you think you're going? Going, girl.
I could sort of slightly sing like that, but mine would be more of a drunken warble. So do you still sing then? Because you're not singing anymore.
That's another really good question. It took me a long time to kind of refine my confidence, especially to put stuff on social media. And I am a classically trained pianist and play guitar. And my son, who's 4.5, he is so into the drums. I can't allow my past traumas to affect his creativity, and so I've been working on being more comfortable with it. So do I sing? Yes, with him. We make fun little songs up. I think I wrote a chicken pox song once when he had it. I was like, bless him. But yeah, we're definitely creative together.
So X Factor then, I mean, in a nutshell then, so after the X Factor, I mean, did you in your mind leave feeling good about it? What was your feeling of it?
I was relieved to get out, to be honest. And then I went back to the United States because I was very much afraid for my life through some of the experiences that were heavily publicised, even in the UK press and media, with death threats.
Really?
Yeah, it was,
So
it was really frightening. And you're not exactly like handed security or post-show therapy. You're just left there.
But why were you sending death threats? Is it because people just didn't want you to win, or just...
I don't know.
It's very odd, isn't it? People behave very, very interestingly when they're behind a keyboard and you can't actually see them. But, I mean, the law's sort of now catching up with the online age a little bit.
Well, one would hope, but in the creative industry sector, and this is one of this is the main reason why I chose to do my law degree recently, is because there aren't really any current law and legislations that law enforcement can actually enforce or have done. In my personal opinion, I think law enforcement lack impartiality when people in the industry are reporting, potential alleged crimes that they have been victim of. So it's something that I'm really heavily focused on in not normalising a conversation about it, but to bring awareness to people that just because somebody is in showbiz, it doesn't mean that things can't or haven't or shouldn't have happened or should, etc.
Well, you alluded to things that were heavily publicised. So what can you tell us about what was publicised? Because obviously if it's widely known, then...
Oh, I mean, some of my threats that I had experienced, as somebody had threatened to pour acid over me.
Oh, God. Yeah,
sorry.
We're going to the detail.
Yeah.
But I hear you now. So these are the sort of things. So what was publicised were the kind of threats that you've seen, and that's why you went into law.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was actually called back to take part in 2014, I think it was, of a comeback show. And again, something that I was extremely hesitant to do. But when you're in that situation with those types of people that are the head of an industry that you're working so tremendously hard to navigate the regrowth of one's credibility, what do? You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And, so I came back to the UK, took part in the 2014 comeback special, which led to other events that, I shouldn't speak publicly on at the moment due to ongoing investigations, etc. But, yeah, in a nutshell, everything that I had experienced all the way through until 2015, I cannot unsee, I cannot unknow, and I feel like I personally have a responsibility to the next generation that want to get into this industry, whether it's musically or whatever encompassing in the creative industry sector, that it is safe to do so.
Fascinating, yeah. And all power to you. Now, I know you've got to...
Thank you.
You work with a charity as well. Talk to me about...
Yeah, so I set up my charity. It's called the OWL Foundation, and it stands for Overseeing the Welfare, Human Rights and Liberty in the Creative Industry Sector. I'm still in the process. I'm a one-man band at the moment, but to provide legal support, mental health support for victims coming forward, that hand to hold. And then also, a safe environment for people that are championing change, and for us to come together and really work unitedly in doing everything we can to make that change happen.
Wow. Well, listen, you're an absolute inspiration. Do you have any, from X Factor, do you have any regrets at all?
No, not really, because I try not to look back at things. I have that mentality of you've just got to turn poison into medicine, and nobody can control you in that way. Well, they can't control me anymore, and I just have to positively look to the future on behalf of my son and everybody else.
Where did you come then in X Factor? Did you...
Seventh,
wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
I was just relieved. I just wanted to go home.
It's a bit like doing your degree or whatever it is, but the last year you just want to get out. And has it, in terms of your music career, are you likely to go back to that? Are you still doing it?
No. Music will always be in my bones. That's just who I am. And now in the lineage, I guess, like my son, like I said, he loves music. Never say never with things, but as a songwriter, it's always fun to create little songs with him. But I don't know. Who knows? I think one thing at a time. I've got to be Batman first and
Batman.
save the industry.
So if people want to find out more about your foundation, does it have a website or somewhere they can...
Yes, absolutely. It's owlfoundation.com.
And that is spelled?
OWHL foundation.com.
Well, listen, Katie, it's lovely to talk to you. I wish you all the best.
You too. Thank you so much.
Inspirational lady. That's Katie Waissel. She was on the X Factor. She's now she's studying law. I mean, she's a bit of an inspiration. And so if you want to get in touch, find her charity.